You know, many high achievers believe that the biggest threat to their goal achievement is failure. Something goes sideways and they fail to reach the goal. But in reality, a much bigger threat can be success, or more specifically, the strategies you've used that created your past successes and that you continue to use long after they've stopped being effective. Now, this happens because our brains are very loyal to what's worked in the past. And so we want to stay connected to those past strategies and processes because they worked before. But today I'm going to talk about what I call stale success. And that's a phenomenon that occurs when our strategies or the roles we inhabit, the habits that we implement, the way we think of ourselves, our identity, etc., those elements that once worked for us are now actually limiting us. And more importantly, I want to help you learn to recognize this before you get to the point where you are derailed or you're burned out or you've completely tapped out in terms of your growth. I'm Kip Clark, and today's episode is called Stale Success: How Yesterday's Wins Become Today's Limitations. Now, as always, I love to base the conversations that I have in research, in science. And this is another area where there's a lot of research that's done, and specifically neuroscience, because neuroscience tells us that our brains are very much pattern biased. So we are always looking for patterns. And once something has worked for us, once we've tried a strategy and it's worked for us, our brains will mark it as safe, as reliable, as true, perhaps. And people like Charles Duhigg, he wrote the book called The Power of Habit. He describes this as a kind of reward loop where the brain tags the strategy we used, and so it's connected, the reward we experienced through the success we've had is connected to that strategy. And so we think we keep using the strategy to get the next level of success. And so it's this kind of loop. It's a rewarding loop. But there's a point at which that actually starts to break down. Further research, specifically some by Amy Edmondson out of Harvard, shows that high-performing teams will reach a point of failure when they keep applying old strategies to new plans or projects or new environments. And of course, the flip side to that is that high-performing teams will succeed when they're willing to let go of past strategies connected to successes because they know it's essential for ongoing growth and evolution. So our brains are very much wired to repeat what has worked, even when our life, our business, our sense of identity, perhaps our circumstances, even when those things have changed. So stale success, interestingly, this occurs when what I would call our neurological efficiencies, that is, we're connected to this pattern, a past strategy that's worked for us. So our brain wants to keep using that. That's the neurological efficiency. Why create something new when there's this other thing that's already worked? So that level of neurological efficiency, when it collides with our personal evolution, so our soul wants to constantly create the conditions for us to grow and expand and evolve. So there's this collision between what the brain wants, on the one hand, which is connecting to past strategies, and what our soul wants is to very much be connected to our next level of growth and evolution and success. So the problem then is not that, it's not that our success hasn't evolved, it's really that the operating system or the strategies we're using that hasn't. So what does stale success sound like? Here are some clues that you may be in a kind of stale success situation yourself. If you're saying to yourself things like, this should still work, or maybe you say, I don't get it. I'm doing everything right here, but it's just not working. Or perhaps you say, okay, I just need to push harder here. Those kinds of things, if you find yourself saying that, well, first of all, that can feel in the body, can feel really heavy, a lot of pressure, but there's no real clarity in it. It might even feel like you're being productive, that idea of pushing harder. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put my head down and just work harder here. It'll make you feel productive, but you're not necessarily creating momentum because, again, you're stuck in these past strategies, these past ways of doing and being. And it may also give you a sense of control, but at the cost of creativity. So no, this has worked for us before. This is the way we do things. So we're going to continue to do things this way. That's not a creative perspective at all. That's really more controlling. And the result is that maybe you might even see some progress, but it's not going to be very fulfilling. So stale success occurs when we've got some level of motion, but we don't have the growth that goes along with it. All right. Now, because everything can still look successful from the outside, it can be easy to miss this or to ignore it, in fact. And so that's why a lot of really successful people can find themselves feeling stuck or exhausted, or they feel that their brilliance is underexpressed. It's not that they haven't achieved, they have. We're high achievers. We've accomplished a lot. It's more that we've outgrown the strategy that got us here, where we are today. Because again, remember, what got you here will not take you there. And by there, I mean your next level, your next goal. You've outgrown it. You've outgrown those strategies. So remember that success is not just what you do. That's huge, of course. It's also a part of who you think you are. Now, if your self sort of concept, your self-identity is the one who holds it all, or the one who delivers, or the one who always says yes, the one who gets things done, the one who can handle more, well, you are that kind of person. But at some point, it becomes stressful, it's heavy, it's exhausting, and in some way it's too small. It becomes too small for what you want next for yourself. Your next level, what's required there is more intentional choices, more intentional choosing, less muscle, more alignment here. And you're looking for more meaning, more fulfillment. And so that often comes from trying something new, developing a new strategy, a new system, a new way of thinking about yourself and who you are and who you want to become. So real growth, that edge of growth, it's never about pushing harder. That's a kind of old-fashioned notion there. It's letting go of the version of you that needed to push, or the version of you that did the things the way you've done them in the past. Now, as always, I don't just like to talk about the theoretical aspects of these topics. I like to give you something really concrete to work with, something that you can use, a little tool you can put into practice immediately that will help you start to see some changes. And so this is not really about time management or a productivity hack. This is more about a kind of identity renewal practice. And I'm going to call these Fresh Start Fridays, because Friday morning is a really great time to just look back at the previous 4 days of the week, assuming you work Mondays to Fridays. So this might be something you do Friday mornings. And you look back on the week and you just ask yourself, which part of my successes this week, big or small, came from who I used to be or how I used to do things, rather than who I want to become, the vision that I have for myself, my future self. And when you ask that question, and just sit with it for a little bit, I recommend taking about maybe 20 to 30 minutes for this. It'll get easier and quicker the more you do it. But initially, take the time asking which part of my successes this week came from who I used to be, and the things that I used to do, the strategies that I used to implement, rather than who I'm becoming, the vision I have for myself. And then anything that you say, oh, well, it was this or it was that. So maybe it's the way you show up on social media, or maybe it's the way you interact with clients or customers. So consider releasing one thing, big or small. Might be an outdated offer. It's an offer that used to get a lot of uptake, and now it's kind of petered out a little bit. Okay, that's a very good sign. It's time to let that go and create something different. It might be a role that you've outgrown. Perhaps you're the one that people come to when there's some challenge, and you're the one who fixes it. But if you're feeling you don't like doing that, you do it out of a sense of obligation, it doesn't feel like something you want to spend much time with, fantastic. That's really good self-awareness. Let that go. Let that go. Maybe it's a commitment that you've been maintaining to avoid disappointing someone. Maybe there's someone that you connect with once a week or once every couple of weeks. You go for coffee or a glass of wine or something, but you're finding that this person tends to just focus on the negative. The person's talking a lot about the state of the world economy and how awful it is, et cetera, et cetera. That's a relationship, a friendship, whatever, that you really need to distance yourself from. That's not going to help you get where you want to go. So sometimes the thing that we need to release is somebody in our environment. Maybe it's a belief you have about the things that you have to do in order to feel like you're accomplishing something, in order to feel worthy, in order to feel like you're impressing people, for example. So big or small, look for one thing you can let go of each week. It's only one thing, but the magic in this is that over time, you're going to completely shift and change how you're operating and how you're showing up. And in a very short period of time, you will start feeling completely rejuvenated and renewed and excited about what's ahead. Those small releases done consistently, week in and week out, will create massive forward momentum. And this is how you free up capacity. You free up time, you free up energy. Then you've got more space for your creativity and for allowing new things to come in that will help you reach that next level goal of yours. This is how you create ease without losing your ambition, because you're an ambitious person. There's more you want to accomplish. I get it. I'm the same. But what I want for you is to get into a mode of accomplishing things without the soldiering on kind of energy, without feeling like you're obligated or the things that you must do. And you're going to feel more like yourself, more energized, more empowered. You're going to feel like there's really nothing you can't accomplish. So stale success, it's a kind of a plateau, but it's also a clear sign that your soul wants you to evolve. And that means that something needs to be let go of. Something needs to be released here. What am I still carrying? This is the question to ask. What am I carrying forward here that really doesn't belong in my next chapter? Now, if you want some extra help identifying exactly the kinds of things that are dragging you, that are creating a drag behind you, I suggest you download the Success Scorecard. There's a link for this in the show notes. And it's a tool that will help you see where your current kind of activities, the ways you're showing up, the kinds of people you're hanging out with, the habits and practices you have, where those things are actually costing you energy and fulfillment, and they're costing you the ability to get to your next level goal more quickly and more easily. And it'll show you what you can shift in order to get that spark and that clarity and that sense of empowerment back again. So download the Success Scorecard, have a look at it, and of course, for extra support, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to walk you through it, to provide a little extra support on that. Okay, so that's it for this episode. I hope this has resonated with you. I hope this has helped you view things a little differently. That's always my goal with these episodes. Drop me a note. Let me know how it's going. Let me know what's important to you and how these episodes help you. I would love it also if you can help me to grow and expand my reach. Like, subscribe, share the episode with someone you know that you think they could benefit from hearing this. That will help me create a bigger impact in the world, and that's what I love to do. Thank you, and until next time, just go out there and be awesome, my friend.